Hey, English learners! Welcome back to the Daily English Class Podcast, your cozy little corner where you can improve your English through real-life conversations that feel natural and easy to understand. I'm Emily.
And I'm Leo.
Leo, today's topic comes from something we keep seeing in the comments section again and again. And honestly, some of those comments stay in my mind for a very long time.
Same here, because many learners write things like, I think it's too late for me to learn English. And every time I read that sentence, I stop for a moment and think about it.
Me too, because that sentence isn't really just about learning English. Behind it, there's usually something much deeper, like regret, fear, disappointment, or that quiet feeling that somehow you missed your chance in life.
Exactly. And that's why today we want to begin with English but not stop there, because people feel this way about so many things in life. They think it's too late to change careers, too late to repair a relationship, too late to take care of their health, or even too late to become the person they once dreamed of becoming.
That's such a heavy feeling. And today, we're talking about one simple idea. It's never too late to start over. Not in a loud, motivational way, and definitely not in a change your whole life today kind of way.
Please don't, because that sounds absolutely exhausting.
What we mean is something much more human, starting from where you are, with the time you have and the courage you have, even if that courage feels very small.
Especially if it feels small, because sometimes one good word can help you explain a feeling you've been carrying inside for years.
Today's words are all about timing, change, dreams, unexpected detours, and finding the courage to begin again. And later, we'll have our Say It Better section, so you can express these thoughts in more natural English.
This conversation is perfect for B1 and B2 learners. And if you're at an A2 level, just relax, listen for the main idea, and enjoy the flow of the conversation.
I was also thinking that this is one of those episodes people might want to revisit, because some of the sentences are easy to miss when you hear them only once.
Exactly. That's why listening carefully and then reading the transcript later can be so helpful.
If you've ever felt late in life or late in becoming the person you wanted to be, then this episode is especially for you. So, Leo, have you ever felt like you were late in life?
Yes. And honestly, I don't like how quickly I answered that question because my brain already had a whole folder prepared called Life Panic.
What usually opens that folder?
My phone. Every single time. I open social media for 1 minute and suddenly someone has a new house, someone has a new job, someone has moved abroad, and someone is smiling in a kitchen that looks like it has never seen an onion.
The perfectly clean kitchen again?
Yes. And it somehow bothers me because even though I'm genuinely happy for those people, I still end up looking at my own life and asking myself, what exactly am I doing?
But do you actually want the things they have?
Not always. And that's the strange part because I think what I really want is proof that my own life is moving forward.
That's a very honest answer.
It's also a little embarrassing because I know social media doesn't show the whole story and that one photo can never represent someone's entire life. But knowing that doesn't always stop the feeling.
That's true.
Whenever I see someone reach a big milestone, I suddenly start treating their milestone as if it were a deadline for my own life.
Wow. Say that again.
I treat their milestone like a deadline for my life.
That line hurts because it's so true. Their new house isn't a message for me. And their wedding isn't an alarm clock telling me that I'm behind in life.
Definitely not. But somehow my brain still hears it that way and keeps saying, You should already be there by now.
Go on. Because sometimes I think we confuse self-punishment with honesty and tell ourselves that we're simply being realistic when we're actually being much harsher than necessary.
What exactly do you mean by that? Because I think a lot of us say things like, I'm late, I failed, I wasted my life, and my English is terrible, and then we convince ourselves that we're just being honest.
Maybe there is a little honesty in those thoughts, but if your English feels weak because you haven't practiced for years, then saying, my English is rusty, is honest, while saying, my English is terrible and I'll never improve, is no longer honesty. It's punishment.
I do that with almost everything in my life, whether it's English, exercise, work, or even taking breaks, because I somehow turn one small problem into proof that I'm failing at everything.
Honestly, I do the same thing too. And one of my biggest struggles is that I'm still terrible at resting without feeling guilty about it.
You? I honestly need a moment because Emily has just admitted she has a flaw, and this feels like important news.
Yes, because whenever I have a slow morning, a voice in my head immediately says, you're wasting the whole day. And for a long time, I thought that voice was simply motivating me to do more.
The productive voice again, the one that sounds helpful and disciplined but is actually making you feel guilty.
Exactly. Because sometimes it isn't productive at all and is simply cruelty, wearing a calendar and pretending to be disciplined. Which is why I try to replace that thought with a kinder sentence and remind myself that I am allowed to move slowly today.
Do you really believe that sentence when you say it to yourself? Or are you still learning to accept it?
Not always. And that's the important part. Because a better sentence doesn't instantly remove the feeling. It simply gives you a kinder place to stand.
I like that idea because a kinder place to stand sounds much more realistic than pretending that one positive sentence can suddenly fix everything.
Thank you. And while we're talking about difficult things, can I mention something else that bothers me?
Of course, because I have a feeling this is going somewhere interesting.
The phrase start over sometimes sounds far too clean and simple, almost like opening a brand new notebook with a fresh pen and beginning a completely new life.
But real life doesn't work that way because it feels more like writing on a page that already has mistakes, coffee stains, and old memories all over it.
Exactly. And that's why I get annoyed when people say, just start again. Because that tiny word just makes difficult things sound easy.
You're right. Because starting English again after years or walking back into a gym after a long break can feel incredibly hard and uncomfortable.
That reminds me of the time I returned to the gym after a long break, wearing new shoes, listening to a new playlist, and carrying a very serious expression on my face.
That already sounds dangerous because whenever someone says they had new shoes and a serious face, something embarrassing usually happens next.
It definitely did, because I stepped onto the treadmill thinking I would only take a light walk, but after 4 minutes, I was breathing as if I had climbed an entire mountain.
For minutes? I'm sorry, but that's both unfortunate and a little funny.
Please don't focus on the number. Because when I checked the speed, I realized the treadmill wasn't even challenging me. It was basically inviting me to take a polite little walk.
So the machine wasn't testing you at all. It was simply greeting you and asking if you would like to move gently today.
Exactly. And I remember thinking, how did I become this person? Because that moment felt surprisingly heavy.
That sentence feels heavy because I think many people ask themselves the same question when they return to something they once did easily.
Yes, And I think English learners feel that too when they come back to studying and wonder why things are still difficult for them.
Then shame arrives with far too much confidence and whispers that it's too late and that we've already missed our chance.
But honestly, what helped me wasn't anything magical. I simply stayed on the treadmill for 5 more minutes.
I actually love that because real change usually isn't dramatic or magical. It's simply deciding not to quit today.
Exactly. Because sometimes starting over means staying for 5 more minutes, opening your English lesson again, or speaking one imperfect sentence out loud.
And I think another reason people feel late in life is that some old dreams no longer fit the person they've become.
That's true, because sometimes we outgrow our dreams in the same way that we outgrow old clothes. And realizing that can be confusing and even a little painful.
We can outgrow more than just clothes because sometimes we outgrow old dreams, old habits, and even older versions of ourselves, although I have to admit that the word outgrow sounds much calmer and more peaceful than the experience usually feels in real life.
I completely agree, because people often say, I outgrew that dream, as if they gently placed it on a shelf, smiled, and quietly walked away from it. When in reality, letting go of a dream can feel confusing, painful, and even a little embarrassing.
Exactly. Because when you've wanted something for years and suddenly realize that you no longer want it, you start questioning yourself and wondering who you were trying to become and why that dream mattered so much in the first place.
I had a similar experience with being busy because when I was younger, I honestly believed that success meant having a full calendar, endless plans, and something important to do every single day, even if it left me completely exhausted.
That really does sound exhausting because sometimes we become attached to an image of success and continue chasing it simply because it makes us feel important, useful, and needed by other people.
That's exactly what happened to me. And even now, I still catch myself doing it because I recently had a quiet evening, and instead of enjoying the peace, I immediately started making a list of things I thought I should be doing.
There it is again, Emily and her famous lists. But I understand what you mean because people don't outgrow old dreams once and become permanently free from them. They usually have to practice that change again and again.
Exactly. And I think reinventing yourself works the same way because changing your life is rarely one dramatic moment and is usually a series of small decisions that slowly turn you into a different person.
That's why the word reinvent can be misleading because it makes people imagine a new city, a new haircut, and a dramatic fresh start, even though real change is often much quieter and much smaller.
Sometimes reinventing yourself simply means changing what you say yes to, saying no to things that no longer fit you, and finally stopping the habit of pretending to want something that your heart has already left behind.
I really like that because it means the dream itself can change shape, and even if one version of it disappears, something meaningful can still remain and guide you in a new direction.
Exactly, because an old dream isn't necessarily foolish or wasted. Sometimes it helps you survive one season of life and then gently steps aside when you've become someone different.
Our final word today is fulfilling, which means something that feels meaningful and satisfying from the inside rather than simply looking impressive from the outside. So you could say, my work feels fulfilling, or I want to build a more fulfilling life.
These were today's powerful words: timeline, milestone, detour, reinvent, outgrow, and fulfilling. And they all carry real feelings and real experiences. So when you have a quiet moment later, revisit this lesson. read the transcript slowly, and choose one word that feels connected to your own life.
That's a great idea because the words we use matter, but the way we speak to ourselves matters too. Sometimes we say things like, "I'm late in life," or "My life went the wrong way," and those thoughts need kinder and more honest language.
That's why this is Say It Better, because we're not trying to make difficult feelings sound perfect. We're simply trying to find better words for those feelings.
Instead of saying, "I'm late in life," you can say, "I feel like I'm on a different timeline," or "I feel behind, but I'm learning to accept my own timeline." And instead of saying, "I didn't achieve anything important," you can say, "I haven't reached that milestone yet."
If you feel like your life didn't go according to plan, try saying, "My life took an unexpected detour," or "My life took a painful detour, but I'm finding my way again." And instead of saying, "I want to become a new person," you can say, "I'm trying to reinvent myself."
When an old dream no longer fits you, you can say, "I think I've outgrown that dream, but it mattered to me once," because that sentence respects your past while allowing you to move forward.
Maybe that's the real message of today's episode. Not perfect English and not perfect timing, but finding honest words for where you are right now, even if you're starting again slowly.
Before we go, we'd love to hear from you. So tell us in the comments if you've ever felt like it was too late to start over and try using one of today's words in your answer.
And if this episode helped you, write this sentence in the comments. It's not too late for me. Thank you for learning with us today. Keep practicing and take care of your next chapter.